Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Hlamimadula and this is my channel By Faith We See. I am back with another video and yeah, I'm excited to be back with another video. I'm loving the fact that I'm being consistent in creating the content and putting it out. It is really by the grace of God and my best friend telling me that I need to put out content. But even with that, today I'm posting something slightly different from what I normally post on my channel. As you guys know, this is mainly a faith-based channel, so anything regarding Jesus I will speak about. But today I wanted to sort of steer away from that a little bit. I know that right now we're in a pandemic and a lot of people have lost their jobs. So my best friend came up with this amazing recruitment series that I should start. So by profession, I'm a recruiter. So I'm the person that gets your CV off of a site, reads through it, and basically calls you for an interview for a client that I might have. So that is what I do, and that is where I have knowledge. So I just wanted to obviously give you guys information and knowledge right now, especially for people that don't know how to put together a CV, don't know what to wear to an interview. This 4-part series is definitely for you. Or if you're just looking to brush up your skills, this is for you as well. That was such a mouthful. But anyway, let's get straight into it. So today we'll be discussing the CV. Obviously, when you are going back into the job market, one of the first things that you do fix up is your CV, especially if you find yourself, especially now in the pandemic, a lot of people were in new roles. So obviously you want to add that to your CV, or if you've been in a role for a long time and there were added responsibilities that may have not been in your old CV, you might want to add that. So I know that Word has a lot of templates on there. If you do, I don't know where you click, I can't remember. Jeez, I haven't been sat at a laptop in a while, so I can't remember where exactly. But if you have Word on your laptop, which I'm sure you do, there are templates that you can use on there, and they sort of just really easy to use. But for those that maybe have to go to an internet cafe and don't have that option, I am here for you. So first things first, on any CV, it would be your personal details. So your personal details is your name, surname, your address, your ID number, and all of those things. Now, when it comes to personal details, I will advise for you not to put your ID number on there. I will just suggest that you just put your date of birth or your age, or you can put both, whichever suits you. So that is my advice to you. Please don't put your ID number on there. There have been some situations, so I would just say put your date of birth or your age. And when it comes to your address as well, that is personal information, and we wouldn't, as a recruiter, I wouldn't want you to put your address on there. So just put, the area in which you live. For instance, if maybe you live in Kempton Park, then you can just put Kempton Park, Johannesburg, or Kempton Park, Ekurhuleni. We don't need to know your street address and all of those things, because guys, we live in a world now where you never know what people are going to do with your information. So safety is key. So when it comes to your personal details, be honest about obviously your name, surname, and your age and all of those things, but just exercise discretion. Do not put your ID number. Do not do that. Just put your date of birth or your age and leave it at that. And then when it comes to obviously your gender, you can put that there as well. So these are just your simple personal details. I know a lot of people like to add their hobbies, their interests. Please don't add that. And that's simply because as a recruiter, we don't necessarily read that. I think I can count on one hand the number of CVs where I've sat and like, oh, what are their hobbies? But that doesn't happen often. Even with hiring managers in corporates or various companies, they don't necessarily look at your hobbies or what interests you. Yes, you might be applying for a copywriter job and your favorite thing might be reading and writing. I guess in that case it might count, but in a lot of instances, no one's really looking at your hobbies. And then after you've put down your personal details, any other thing that you can think of that could be considered as personal details, you can put down. I do know that some people will say that they are married with kids. That is not necessary for you to put there, because that doesn't really impact how you'll be able to do your job, whether you're married or not. I guess if it is maybe a sales job where you will be traveling, you might need to put that, but a lot of the time the only time they will ask you whether you're married is when you are there for an interview, so you do not need to put that down. Okay, so your personal details, like I said, it's your name, surname, your age, your date of birth, and obviously marital status and all of those things. Exercise discretion when you're putting your personal details onto a CV. Now let's move on to the professional summary. A professional summary basically consists of all of your skills put into one paragraph. Now this is imperative. A lot of the time I want to know, well, as a recruiter, when I get your CV, I want to know how you speak of yourself, or I want to know the skills that you have. So in your summary, you can now say, I am a bookkeeper. I've worked on the system Pastel. I have 3 years experience. I have a bookkeeping qualification from Damlin, and basically just putting everything about you in one paragraph. Now with this professional summary, please do not add any personal details. So some people maybe would like to say, I'm a young single, nobody cares. Just put on there that I'm a recruiter, I come with 3.5 years experience, I've worked at these various companies, and these are the systems that we used. I know how to type CVs, and basically just that. And you can even mention your qualifications if you do have qualifications. So for instance, if your only qualification is matric, you could mention that if you like, but just make sure that this summary basically explains who you are in a professional sense, not in a personal sense. Not more than a paragraph. Nobody's going to read a whole page about you, no, because the rest of your CV will give us further information. So just give a paragraph, and that will be about it. So the structure of your CV will then be your personal details and then a professional summary, or you can have a professional summary on top and then your personal details. But I will just say that the best structure would be your personal details first and then your professional summary afterwards. And then we get to your education. Now obviously your education, depending on what qualifications you have, you will put those concisely. Now I will say that put the qualification that you have, the institution which you got it from, and the year in which you graduated. These are imperative to have on your CV because these are things we need to know, especially if we're going to run checks on your qualifications. It sucks having to call someone, hi, when did you get your qualification? It's good sometimes to just have it on there, then it makes it easier for the people that are obviously looking at your CV. So obviously a lot of us, our first qualification would be matric or your N3, N4, whatever the case might be, and then it would be your tertiary qualification if you do have certificates or courses and all of that, short courses, put that on there as well. It will definitely give your CV something to look at. Also, if for instance maybe you're a CA or whatever, those professional qualifications, put that on there, but I'm sure we all know that. Okay, so after you've put your education, we now move on to experience. Now this is a bit tricky because in my last job I actually learned a lot about this area of the CV. Obviously you will put the last company you worked at first, and then obviously going down. So for instance, let's say you worked at Colgate. This is just an example. You worked at Colgate and you were an HR manager, so it will be Colgate HR manager from this period to that period. Dates are important. Make sure that your dates are accurate. As a recruiter, when I get your CV on my desk and your dates are off, it's really off-putting because I'm thinking, how? Nobody knows better than you how long you stayed at a company. So whenever you do get into a new job, just update the dates on your CV to ensure that all is in order. So if you've worked at a company from January 2011 to August 2015, put that. I don't need the specific day, but I need the month and the year. That is imperative. Don't just put that you've been at a company 4 years and that's about it. No, I need the date and the year, and then after that I will then need your responsibilities. So your responsibilities are the day-to-day things that you got up to while you were at that job. So if you were a receptionist, obviously you're answering calls, greeting guests, and filing of documents, checking of invoices, or whatever it is that you get up to in that particular role. Now, when it comes to jotting down your responsibilities, do not use the words I, we. Are these nouns, pronouns? What are those? I don't know, but don't use those I, we, us. Don't use that. So instead of saying I was responsible for changing the cartridge on the printer, you will just say was responsible for changing the cartridge. If for instance you want to say was responsible for offshore accounts, handling of offshore accounts, you will not say I was, you will just say was responsible for handling offshore accounts. And all the previous jobs that you have, do ensure that they are in past tense and not present tense, because if I had the job 15 years ago and it still says I am doing 1 to 3, you're no longer at that job. So just ensure that. So sorry about that. As you guys know, I have a younger sister who is 3 years old and likes to make a noise. Yeah, as I was saying about your experience, make sure that if you had a job previously, your responsibilities are in past tense. That is essential. So like I said, you do not use the words like I, we, us. You will just literally just give the responsibility as is. So like I said, if you were changing the mirrors at the hair salon, you will just say changing mirrors daily or changing mirrors weekly. Do not say I was doing this and that. Even in your professional summary, do not use I, we, them. Just say, well, I guess in your professional summary you could get away with that, but if you can not use it, then don't. So yeah, these are tips that I really hope will be helpful to you guys. And also guys, when it comes to your CV, always ensure that you have responsibilities with each role that you worked. Even if it's 3 responsibilities, put that on there because it is essential. It is essential for a recruiter or hiring manager to know what your day-to-day look like. Let me give you a quick example. You might be an HR manager, but in your HR manager experience, you also have a bit of project management. But now when you're applying for the role, you find that you haven't given your responsibility. So the person that's looking at your CV for the project manager role doesn't know that you have any project management experience. But if you've put that experience within, when you've jotted it down, now that person now knows, oh, okay, their title might have been HR manager, but they do also know how to do project management things. So do make sure that you put down every responsibility that you're assigned, because at the end of the day, the goal is to get the job. Also, over and above that, remember that nobody has a perfect CV, so it's all right. But as you get better in this, you know, like the more recognition your CV will get, because it has all the information right there and then. And your CV makes an impression before you ever get to. Unless that person knows you, then that's a different story. But in a lot of cases, they don't know you. So your CV makes the impression before you do. And trust me, when a CV shows up and you know, maybe it has too much information or too little information, sometimes as a recruiter I'm just like, whatever, on to the next one. So unfortunately that does happen, and we do want to prevent that. So zhuzh up your CV. If you do have any more questions, I will leave my email address below and you can email me and we can converse about CVs and all of that. Now, my next video will be about the application process and what goes into that and the things to be cognizant of when it comes to your application process. I really hope that this was helpful, guys. I really hope that this information will be used going forward. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back next week Friday with another video. Thank you so much. Bye.